Rise Up Radio. Our mission is simple.
To connect,
Inspire.
impact,
Transform.
we will connect with our city's people and businesses.
Inspire all of us to achieve our dreams.
Transform the city by focusing on the resilience of our people.
And positively impact all who live and work here.
Rise Up believes our city is a city on the rise.
And all of us need to broadcast just how truly amazing this city is.
Welcome to our show. This is your host, Tom Chesser, and we are here today in Chicago, Illinois, talking with our featured guest, Bill King. Bill is an insurance agent with AIG, the largest insurance company in the world, and his primary focus is Index Universal Life. Bill is licensed in 5 states, Illinois, Michigan, Missouri, South Carolina, and Texas. Prior to becoming an insurance agent, he was saving lives as a firefighter, paramedic, and flight medic for over 30 years in the western Chicagoland area. Now he is helping people like you and me save, make, and retain our hard-earned income. Hey, Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Tom. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the folks out there that are interested in learning some valuable information.
Great. And Bill, we talked about this before, but, our topic today is kind of like, the road to retirement and also how to retain your hard-earned money when you retire. And my first question to you, my friend, is basically, what does the road of retirement look like today for most people?
Absolutely, Tom. The road to retirement used to be really pretty easy as far as the average, American was concerned. They had pensions that were out there. There was 401k. There was Social Security, investments, and savings. And these are all the ways that we were actually educated and taught to contribute so that we would be able to have a dignified retirement. Sound about right to you?
Absolutely. That's the way I did it, my friend. But things have been changing. Is that right? And right now we see a lot of companies, they're not offering pensions anymore, as well as 401k or Social Security has changed. People aren't being able to save enough. Is that kind of what you're seeing out there?
Absolutely. Most families are, they have to have 2 income earners. Companies are not paying, the types of dividends and the pension programs that they used to pay. And, the interesting thing about all of the avenues that we were taught to utilize is those are all of a taxable nature. That makes sense?
Yeah, we're going to pay taxes on those. So if I take out anything in my savings, or if I take anything out in my 401k, or either my stock market or in my annuities and anything that I have, basically I'm going to pay taxes on that. And, that's not all of us. We don't really like the IRS that much, and we really don't like paying taxes. And so we're seeing that as a real concern in today's retirement plan. How do you overcome that? And we're all kind of sick and tired of that kind of deal. And not even just that. I mean, that's kind of just part of the problem. The other problem is, I take money out, I pay taxes on it. God forbid anything happen. If I have an illness, that could wipe me out. If I get cancer, that could wipe me out. Anything that can do that after I even take my money out to utilize it can pretty much wipe me out. So my question to you today, Bill, is what is the solution, and is there a better road to take on this road of retirement?
Sure, absolutely, Tom. We'll cover a couple of areas just to kind of give people an idea of, what the way things are and how things can work. So, first of all, I kind of want to give you an example so that people can kind of understand how most retirement plans work. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
So if you consider a $5 bill, a $10 bill, and a $20 bill, I'm going to give you some specific examples of how most people's retirement fund works. So if the $5 bill is actually the contribution portion of the plan, and the $10 bill is actually the accumulation phase of that plan, and then the $20 bill is actually the distribution phase of that plan, that would be a pretty good retirement plan, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Exactly. So did you know, or were you aware that the IRS actually allows you to take out the taxes when you would like to take the taxes out?
No, I really wasn't aware of that. I figured I had to take it out the minute I actually took the money out.
Exactly. And most people are not aware that they actually have the option. So in that little design that we just did for the $5, $10, and $20, if you had your choice of when to actually take your money and pay your taxes, which one of those dollar figures would you choose?
I think this is pretty simple even for somebody like me, but I think that's $5. Is that a good answer?
Exactly. That's an awesome answer, and that's the answer that I get from most people. Most people say, well, heck, I want to take it out when it's not that much, right? As opposed to when it's a lot, right? Because who's going to get more? The IRS. So that's exactly the point for me, kind of giving you the idea of how people can actually pay their taxes. And let me ask you another kind of rhetorical and silly question. Do you think taxes are going to go up?
Yes. I don't think they're ever going to come back down. I think they're going to go up and up and up and up and up. So in that situation, my answer is going to be yes.
Exactly, because of the fact that we have, the debt situation that we have in the country right now. They have to fund Social Security, and you are 100% right. Now, it may not happen this year, it may happen next year, and it may not happen in 5 years, but it's going to happen. So if you know what your taxes are now is the time to take the taxes out, because at some point in time, the IRS is going to have their hand out. So let's give a couple more things here, to kind of give people an idea of what they can do and how they can retain their hard-earned income. That sound fair?
That's absolutely why I wanted to get in touch with you today, my friend. Go ahead.
So if people out there were actually given the opportunity to purchase what we call an AIG Index Universal Life Policy, here's just a few examples of how they can retain their money. Number one, it's a tax-free distribution to you when you get into your retirement years. Number two, you can actually put an unlimited amount of money into that contract. So for those individuals out there that are actually making some substantial money, right, there is no limit, as long as it's coupled with a life insurance policy, as to how much money they can put into that plan. And another point, you can grow your money without loss or potential loss from the standpoint of the stock market, because it's an index universal life policy. And there is no required minimum distribution. So what that means for you and for your heirs is, and we know the inevitability of a life insurance policy, right? That life insurance policy is that, it's paid to your beneficiaries. But you had also mentioned, the quality of life, which I will go into in a few minutes. But most importantly, the distributions are actually tax-free again. So if there is no required minimum distribution and you do not need to have those funds from the Index Universal Life Plan, that money continues to grow and continues to grow and continues to grow. So when it's distributed, whether it's distributed in your lifetime or in your heirs' lifetime, they do not have to take a certain amount of money from that account. which is untrue of a 401k, pensions, and other things, right? Because once you hit 70 years old, if you have a 401k, you have to start taking a required amount of money out of that plan. That's not true with a life insurance policy. The other thing that's true of 401ks is if you are 59 and a half or less, you are penalized for taking that money out. So the great thing about a life insurance policy is its liquidity, because as you're putting money into that policy, you get the ability and the availability to utilize those funds from the standpoint of a tax-free loan. So if your kids decide they want to go to an expensive college, you can take a loan. If you need to have that money for a new car, a new house, a new house on a lake, whatever you choose for financial advantage for your business, because the business happens to be slow, those are all tax-free loans that can come back to you. That's not true of a 401k. The other thing that's true of a 401k is if something happens to you, your heirs have to start taking that money from the 401k once your demise, right? So in other words, they do not have the ability to say, well, you know what, we've kind of got things set and we're straight and we don't need that money. That is not the case with a 401k. With a 401k, that's a distribution, an automatic distribution. And it's usually a great deal of money. And who's going to have their hand out first? The IRS.
The IRS.
Exactly. So that is just, that's just a few of the things, that I kind of wanted to touch base on, and here's probably the most important thing, and this is something that has been kind of sidelined by a lot of gurus out there, so to speak, in the financial industry, and that's this. This kind of life insurance is actually the best and the most predictable wealth creator in the country today.
Say that again?
This kind of life insurance that I'm specifically describing, AIG, Indexed Universal Life, is actually the best and the most predictable wealth creator in the country today.
Wow, I didn't know that. Why don't we hear that kind of thing, Bill? I mean, seriously, all we hear life insurance is what, term and whole life? Now, this is kind of, another way of, it's a better way. It's a solution. How come we haven't heard about all this before?
Well, actually, back about 20 years ago, this was actually brought to the United States. And, I don't want to be disparaging to the insurance industry, but the insurance industry has realized for many, many years that term life insurance is very cheap. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And the reason that it's cheap is because 9 out of 10 individuals that purchase a term insurance policy will never go to the point where that policy pays out. And the term, whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, is going to end. And generally speaking, what has happened during that term, right, the individual has had health changes, right? 61% of the individuals that are in the United States today are afraid that they are going to run out of money in their retirement. So what does that tell you? The other thing that's interesting is 73% of those individuals that were interviewed actually have some type of a chronic, one or two chronic illnesses that are already present in their life. So if you have gotten to the end of your term, the term insurance has gone up, you've had a life-changing situation happen, and the insurance industry is going to make you pay for it, and pay for it dearly. So with this type of policy, what happens is there's actually, and you mentioned it, is actually a quality of life benefit. And this actually started about 20 years ago. And it actually came from two very, very prominent doctors at the time, Christian and Marius Bernard. And they were the first two doctors in the world to do a human-to-human heart transplant. And what they found was they were able to do all of these amazing things with people, right, because of technology, and they were actually saving their lives, but the individuals would have to have a huge amount of recovery time. And let me ask you a question, and it's a silly question again, Tom. If you are unable to make an income, who is going to pay your bills?
That's a good question. Me? If
exactly.
I can?
If you can. So that was where the quality of life benefit actually came from. It actually gives you the ability to pay for a chronic, critical, or terminal illness out of the policy. So in other words, from the standpoint of an index universal life policy, you are able to pay yourself an income while you're in the phase of recovery after a heart attack, after a stroke, after a catastrophic illness, a severe injury. So your business gets to continue, you get back to being a healthy individual, and you have had a tax-free benefit come to you that the insurance company will write you a letter that says, here is the check, and oh, by the way, you no longer have to pay for this policy. And that is a tax-free benefit to you and to your heirs and to your family so that you can be able to get back on your feet and back to good health.
Wow. Quality of life, I've heard that several times before, and how it goes down and how we don't even account for it. And this is really something new to me. So it basically brings back my quality of life while I'm going through this with this policy. That sounds great to me.
Absolutely, and really, honestly, some of the greatest and the worst, disruptions in a person's quality of life is a health issue, right? I mean, let's face it, right? As we get older, heart attack, stroke, cancer, all of those things give you the opportunity to pull from this life insurance policy, and most people don't even know that this exists. There are actually 149 million clients out there that have policies that need to have a changeover to a quality of life benefit life insurance policy.
And that's the Index Universal Life by AIG, correct?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Just to cap a little bit, we started to talk about, how to retain, my hard-earned money when I retire. We talked about the success of Index Universal Life and basically, the thing that it is tax-free. That just overwhelms me to think of that possibility. But it's not only tax-free, it's tax-free at distribution is what I wrote down. You can put an unlimited amount of money into that contract. I think also you can grow your money without loss, like the stock market. I lose, I gain, I lose, I gain. But this has that protection, no phase out due to higher income like the 401k and the IRA, and then no required minimum distribution. And that's fantastic. And you told me that the IRS actually has made an allotment for this. Is there a rule that they use so that this can happen?
Absolutely. There is a tax code the IRS has developed. It's a 7702. And that is actually for the insurance industry, which gives you the ability to put in money into the account. And that is that's a taxable event when but it's taxed money. So in other words, the money has already been taxed before you're placing it into this policy. But there is a lot of benefits for people that are in business, right? You can have tax advantages for it from a standpoint of a business owner, and most importantly, you get to grow that income tax-free. And you get to take the distribution tax-free because it's already been taxed. Remember when we talked about when would you like to have your money taxed? Now or in the future? That's the point of index universal life policy. And where the indexing actually comes in is, if you picture the stock market, remember what happened back in 2008 when it really took a dump, right? And everybody was joking that their 401k became a 101k, right? So if you have an indexed universal life policy, you get all of the advantages of the up market and none of the downs. So in other words, when it comes back to zero, that's all you lose. There's no minus 21% like a 401k or anything else that you have in the stock market. And the reason that works is because the insurance company has actually paid, and for AIG, it's actually Merrill Lynch. Merrill Lynch gave AIG, actually they sold AIG the ability to have what they call the Merrill Lynch Selected Blend. And what that means is AIG actually buys an option on the stock market. So once the stock market hits zero, there is no money lost in that marketplace. If the money goes up, on the other hand, the option is actually, purchased for them to be able to take the positive side of the index and not the negative side. So your money is actually never in the stock market. Your money is actually in AIG. AIG purchases the option to not lose money, and it purchases the option to make money. That make sense?
Yeah, that sounds like they're working in my favor. That all sounds great. I never knew anybody did that kind of thing for me.
Yep. So that's a proprietary service that AIG paid millions for with Merrill Lynch.
Wow. And now I'm able to do this. I know about taxable income. I've learned about that. I've learned about deferred taxes. And now you have taught me a whole new perspective, and that's tax-free. And I really, really appreciated having this conversation with you. We've talked about stuff like this before, but I never delved into this thing like we have on this interview. And that's why I wanted to invite you to the show. I appreciate you being on the show. I hope our audience sits there and takes notes. I hope basically they will learn how this works, and it can work in their benefit. I mean, this outdoes my savings account. It outdoes my stock market, outdoes my IRA. It outdoes everything that I'm accustomed to actually gaining or losing from. But this AIG Indexed Universal Life takes care of all those concerns for me. Bill, tell me, now that we're kind of talking about all this, what is the best way for people to reach out to you and learn more about this? I mean, can you give us some ways to contact you?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I'd like to say that, if someone would like to have a free illustration, we'll certainly be more than happy to do that for any individual that wants to reach out to us. It doesn't cost anything to look at it and compare the numbers and actually find out, what it can do from a savings standpoint for their retirement. And the number that they can reach us at is 888-901 9144, and our website address is retiretaxfreepro.org.
Okay. Again, please.
The number is 888-901-9144 and retiretaxfreepro.org.
And if you're listening out there today, I'm telling you what, this has been a great conversation, a great learning experience for me. That's kind of what we like to do around here, is to provide information and technology and, these leaders that are out there in the forefront looking out for each and every one of us, and today's show was to talk about, this road of retirement and the solution to it. And Bill's absolutely gave us a solution to this issue, as well as, the right road to take. So I hope if you're out there listening today and you want to take care of this, you want to look at this, give Bill a call, And Bill, I want to thank you once again for taking your time and sitting down with us and kind of give us a picture of this. And I appreciate you doing that today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, too, Tom. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the listeners' time. And just want to wish everybody an awesome day, and God bless.
Yeah, and, I always like to end these shows basically encouraging people, to work together, and that by working together, we all can make a difference, whether it's you, me, Bill, or anybody out there. Working together, we can make a difference. And I want to say, have a blessed day. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, and remember,
By working together, we can make a difference in our city.